Senior correspondent John Miller is a former deputy director of national intelligence. John, good morning.
Good morning.
So first, phones, now internet providers. How far does the surveillance go, and what does that mean to the average person?
Well, what it means to the average American is not that much because the rules don't change. They can look at, this is the spying business. These are spy agencies. That's what they do for a living. They spy. But by U.S. law, they can only spy on foreigners outside the United States. Now, if you're going to investigate, which is different, that's what you do to Americans, that requires all the same hoops. You've got to get a court order and so on. So the other question is, how do you know when you're looking at IP addresses and a lot of anonymous stuff when you stumble into an American? And they have built-in algorithms and a lot of cautions there. And when they think somebody's American, they have to look at that and say, well, let's send this to the lawyers, let's look at this. Is this a U.S. person? Is this a foreign person? And so on. So there's a lot of angst every day about how this is done to make sure they're not going through your stuff or my stuff. And if they have a reason to, then they bring it to the FBI and they say, you need to investigate this, and they have to jump through all the normal hoops.
There are some in Congress who are calling to declassify how this has prevented a terrorist attack. You have information about an instance where it has.
Well, if you look at the Najibullah Zazi case, you have a classic example there. So on September 6th, 2009, around dawn, an email comes from an IP address to another IP address. One of them is nothing we're paying attention to. The other is one that has been flagged as an al-Qaeda mail drop that is rarely used. And so when that bell rings, they say, hey, they hardly ever use this account, but it's associated with Rashid Rauf, who is al-Qaeda's master bomb maker behind the plot to blow up all the airplanes. Who's he talking to? And when they find that that IP address on the other end resolves to Aurora, Colorado, outside Denver, it connects them to Zazi. It takes them to the plot to blow up the New York subways. It's all prevented. That's how a program like this is supposed to work.
And yet this was extraordinary yesterday to see the head of the DNI put out a statement about this, calling this leak reprehensible. And then you have the New York Times today echoing some of the real concerns about privacy in this whole thing, saying the administration has now lost all credibility on this issue. Mr. Obama is proving the truism that the executive branch will use any power it is given and very likely abuse it. What about those concerns?
Well, I think that there is law upon law and rule upon rule and lawyer upon lawyer built into these programs to protect Americans from this kind of surveillance. And I think that's the point that the DNI is trying to make. The second point it's trying to make is every time we reveal how one of these programs work, the terrorists, the adversaries, the spies all change their behavior when they learn that, and it makes it harder to collect.
John Miller, thank you.